Many men find themselves in this situation, mistakenly thinking that this is the secret to harmony and affection. But what if I told you that there is wisdom that goes back thousands of years that suggests a different approach? Have you ever found yourself going above and beyond to change who you are or sacrifice your happiness just to please a woman? You're not alone. Yes, I am talking about Stoicism today. We are delving deeply into the core of Stoic philosophy to uncover Sachs' principles. You should never compromise for women or anyone else for that matter. This isn't about assigning blame or saying you shouldn't care about the women in your life. Rather, it's about learning how to care for them in a way that is healthy, respectful, and ultimately more fulfilling. Imagine this. You've twisted your values to fit hers even when it felt wrong, or perhaps you've lost touch with friends because she didn't like them. These situations don't result in wholesome, harmonious partnerships. Our desires instead lead to bitterness and a loss of identity, but fear not. Stoicism provides a guiding light. Let's examine how to handle the difficulties of relationships without losing ourselves in the process. Are you ready to set out on this journey with me? In the midst of passion or the need to please, it's incredibly simple to compromise our autonomy, to repress your interests, or even change your opinions to fit someone else's expectations. You might have to abandon plans you were looking forward to. It feels like love, but is it really Stoicism that asks us to consider these sacrifices? Are we sacrificing our personal freedom for affection, or are we fostering a relationship where both people can thrive independently? Your integrity and freedom are priceless. They are the very essence of who you are. And when you exchange them for someone else's approval, you're not only losing a piece of yourself, but you're also creating a precedent for an unsustainable and unhealthy relationship. According to Stoicism, relationships should be based on mutual growth, respect, and understanding, all of which are based on the freedom to be oneself. Therefore, before you bend your will to fit into someone else's world, stop and consider whether you are acting out of love and respect, or are you sacrificing your autonomy out of fear and a need for approval? Remember that a relationship based on respect for one another's independence and uniqueness is not just solid, but long-lasting. Let's not exchange our priceless freedom for transient acceptance, but rather work toward partnerships that value and celebrate our independence. Following the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, two things to avoid are ignoring your personal development. For a brief while, picture yourself walking a path that winds through a forest, covered in the leaves of life's obligations and expectations. Every stride you take is a step closer to wisdom, virtue, and self-improvement. Now, picture continuously veering off course to, it is not only a detour, it is a distraction from your own personal development to tread on someone else's wants and objectives. It's important to keep in mind this Stoic lesson, since Epicurus would contend that it is a misuse of our ability for reason and a disregard for our personal growth in the context of relationships, particularly ones where we can find ourselves unduly invested in pleasing a partner. The Stoics did not advocate self-improvement as a means to a selfish end, but rather as a way to become better humans for ourselves and those around us. By ignoring our personal growth, we are not only stalling on our path, but we are also depriving our partners of the best versions of ourselves. After all, how can we genuinely contribute to the happiness and well-being of others if we are not cultivating our own virtue and wisdom? Epictetus's lessons serve as a reminder that concentrating on wisdom and self-improvement enhances our relationships and interactions rather than being a solo endeavor. It's about finding a balance so that even if we're sympathetic and supportive, we don't put someone else's needs ahead of our own development. 3. Repress your feelings. suppressing your emotions. Imagine holding a beach ball underwater. The more you push it down, the more forcefully it'll pop back up, often in unexpected ways. Similarly, when we suppress our emotions for the sake of maintaining peace in a relationship, we're not resolving anything, we're merely postponing the inevitable explosion of feelings. This is not the Stoic way. Stoics advocate for a healthy relationship with our emotions, one where we acknowledge, understand, and manage them. Not one where we deny their existence. Suppressing your feelings or ignoring your emotional needs for the sake of a relationship is not just unhealthy, it's unsustainable. It leads to a build-up of resentment, misunderstandings, and ultimately a disconnection from not only your partner but also from yourself. The Stoic approach is to face our emotions head-on, to examine them with reason, and to express them in a constructive manner. It's about finding the balance between emotion and reason, ensuring that neither is given. An essential component of this concept is unrestricted rein communication. Being open and honest with oneself are not indications of weakness, but rather of strength and self-awareness. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius stressed the value of honesty and introspection in all facets of life, including our emotional realm, in order to prevent losing your independence. Self-reliance. Seneca's astute insight warned us against becoming unduly reliant on relationships and other outside forces for our happiness and tranquility. This is not to argue that we shouldn't value and care for our relationships with other people, but rather that we shouldn't base our entire sense of satisfaction or self-worth on them. When we tie our happiness or self-worth to someone else, we are like a tree that depends on an outside source for stability. A tree may lean toward the sun, enjoy the benefits of the rain, and even support other life forms, but its growth, strength, and very survival depend on its roots and the nourishment it draws from within the soil. When our source falters, we run the risk of falling over. Seneca's warning encourages us to strengthen our roots and find inner strength and nourishment. Cultivating independence isn't about severing our emotional ties or isolating ourselves. Rather, it's about creating a foundation so solid that our relationships become sources of growth and joy rather than crutches or cages. It entails pursuing our objectives, being completely involved in our hobbies, and developing a strong sense of self that can withstand the difficulties and changes that life will inevitably bring. Finding inner contentment is a path that calls for honesty, introspection, and perhaps the bravery to confront our own shadows. It's about accepting our desires, fears, and dreams, and realizing that, although they can support us on our journey, other people cannot be our only route to fulfillment. This internal contentment becomes a source of strength for our relationships as well as for ourselves when we're not looking to others to fill our gaps. Instead, we interact with them from a place of completeness rather than committing something to please her. 5. If you imagine a situation when you are asked to do anything that goes against your morals or basic beliefs, it might be as easy as feigning interest in a pastime that you don't have, or as complicated as making decisions in life that don't fit with your goals or values. Stoicism teaches us the importance of living in harmony with our own nature, which entails accepting and honoring our preferences, beliefs, and ideals. When we deviate from this course in order to make someone else happy, we not only lose our true selves, but also undermine the relationship's foundation of mutual respect and trust. The inner fortress, which each man must construct and defend, is a metaphor for our fundamental self, our values, and our virtues. According to the Stoic philosopher Seneca, compromising these for fleeting love or to avoid conflict is equivalent to leaving the gates of our fortress unguarded. Genuine, long-lasting relationships are created not through self-betrayal, but rather through mutual respect and understanding of each other's true selves. Finding common ground while being firmly on your own is the goal of the Stoic approach, which is not one of rigidity, but rather of great self-awareness and integrity. It challenges us to consider whether this behavior is in line with our true selves and whether it upholds our qualities of courage and wisdom. When the response is no, justice and temperance, it's a reminder to stop and think, and that love and respect for ourselves and others grow in the light of authenticity rather than in the shadows of conformity and compromise. Therefore, think about the Stoic wisdom that advises us to honor our essence first, before committing to something just to please her. It's not about selfishness, rather it's about self-respect and creating a relationship where both people are encouraged to be their best and truest selves. This strengthens your relationship and makes it more about the two of you, rather than just the enjoyment of the moment. Path to development and comprehension. Imagine your relationship as a journey. Here are 6 reasons to ignore your enthusiasm. Without the rudder of reason to steer you, emotion can be the wind in your sails, bringing you ahead with speed and excitement, but it can also lead you crashing into the rock. Stoics like Epicurus taught that we should not be slaves to our impulses, but masters of them, steering our lives with wisdom and foresight. This doesn't mean stifling our desires, but understanding them, questioning them, and aligning them with our deeper values and goals in the throes of a passionate relationship. It's easy to let emotions dictate our actions, to make compromises that conflict with our core beliefs, or to ignore red flags that we would have noticed. If not blinded by passion, here lies the wisdom of the Stoics. They us that reason should be the lens through which we examine our feelings, ensuring that our actions in relationships are not just reactions to fleeting emotions, but choices made with clarity and foresight. This Stoic principle doesn't just apply to navigating conflicts or making big decisions. It's also about the daily choices we make in our relationships. It's choosing to communicate openly rather than react defensively, to show patience instead of frustration, and to seek understanding before making assumptions. By letting reason guide these moments, we cultivate a relationship that's not only passionate, but also resilient, respectful, and deeply connected. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more philosophical guidance and personal growth strategies. And don't forget to comment below with your thoughts or experiences related to Stoicism and relationships. Until next time, stay virtuous.